So for anyone who doesn't know, they shot two cops, one of them a mother who has a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Some
In
guy
fact,
stepped in front of their car and just open fired on them and shot them, and then BLM protesters blocked the entrance to the emergency room and were chanting, "We hope they die."
yep. So, but you could, this person, it's kind of grainy, but they just walk right up. There's nothing going on. There's no context. They just walk up and execute or try to execute cops. They just walk up, police, sheriffs sitting in their vehicle, and they run away. There's bail out, or there's a warrant out for this person's arrest, or I think $100,000 reward or something for information because the person's still on the loose. Yeah, Carrie, they blocked the emergency room, but they also, so they protested. They also blocked the emergency room, and like the police had to tweet out, um, "Do not block emergency entries and exits to the hospital. People's lives are at stake when ambulances can't get through." They don't care. They were yelling at the cop families. "We hope they die." Um, so
And they were yelling at the other cops who were there, "You're next."
yeah,
And I saw Konstantin Kisin. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he has a show called Trigonometry that's amazing. We've had him on the show before. It was a really great interview with him. But I saw him, he posted about it, and he just said all that was necessary to say, which is, do you still believe that this is about justice?
it was never about justice.
I,
Yeah,
but there are some people who
yeah.
believed that. Do they still believe that? When you see stuff like this happening and you see the protesters blocking the entrance so that these cops, one of whom is a mother, can't get the emergency services they need and are chanting, "We hope you die."
I
There's
know.
something wrong with those human beings who are doing that. And I think there's something wrong with you if you still make apologies for it or justify it or try to pretend like this is some anomaly, that this isn't built into the movement, into the belief system. I was for BLM. Anyone that doesn't know my background, I was into social justice for 20 years. I preached it. I was loud about it. I was part of BLM. I posted BLM things. The thing that started to wake me up, one of the things, was at the BLM rally in Dallas, when the guy killed 6 police officers. And they did the same thing back then that they're trying to do now. They tried to say, this is an anomaly. This is not BLM. This is a lone shooter. It
Mm-hmm.
just happened to have occurred at the BLM protest. It's not a part of it. But at the same time, that was what they said officially, right? Don't tie this with BLM. Just because it happened at a BLM rally, don't tie it with BLM. Just because we chant things like "death to cops," don't tie it to BLM.
Right.
At the same time, those people in my echo chamber were tacitly supporting it and even making jokes about it and about how more cops need to die. They were gleeful about it. So don't pretend that this is some anomaly that's not part of the movement. This is the movement. This is not a bug. It's a feature of BLM. And if you're one of those well-intentioned people who are still out there you ignorant, naive, clueless people who are posting, "I support Black Lives Matter because I believe Black Lives Matter." First of all, a woman did this to me this weekend. First of all, you're a moron. Everyone believes Black Lives Matter. Uh, how ridiculous and absurd for you to say that, as if anybody who disagrees with this movement doesn't believe that Black people matter. That's retarded. Like,
Well, it's
we
that's
all believe Black people
intentional. That's
matter.
intentional so that they can accuse you of being a racist if you don't agree with them. But yes,
Right, but step back from it for a second. Like, what
of
world are
course.
you living in where you believe that the majority of Americans don't think Black people matter? That's ridiculous. Everyone believes that. And so that's not a good enough reason to support this movement. They have, such clever naming that they can fool a moron like you into supporting them. You have to support something that's named that to show that you believe that. That's retarded.
I like that you're
Um,
using the word retarded
I just,
derogatorily, and I commend you for this. Um, you've come over to the dark side. I look,
I'm coming over to the dark
Carrie,
side, but
I don't disagree with you. However, I will just say, like, I look at this, and I looked at the video of that guy screaming, "We hope they die" or whatever outside of the emergency room, and all I could think of was what I've been saying a lot lately, which is like, this isn't a belief system. This is psychological dysfunction. These are people who are just psychologically unhinged. There is something wrong with them. I think actually we've created a culture so that we can embellish what's wrong with people rather than help them cure. So there's people who are just doubling down on their own psychological dysfunction, being encouraged to be psychologically dysfunctional, being encouraged to just uh, go with whatever their emotions are in any given moment, and everything's justified, and they're just having temper tantrums. They're literally children. I mean, and that's actually derogatory against children. I don't like children aren't all like that. They're poorly raised children who are screaming and having temper tantrums and wanting to kill people now because now they're adults and the language changes and their violence escalates from a kid having a temper tantrum to a kid throwing Molotov cocktails. And like that's all that this is. There's no philosophy to debate. There's no ideas here. There's nothing like it's completely bankrupt of any kind of idea. It's completely bankrupt of any kind of like philosophy that's even worth talking about. It's completely morally bankrupt. There is no argument here. Zero, zip, zilch, nada, nothing. There's no moral argument here. It is just insanity. That's all it is. And yeah, there's apologists who come around and try and cite things like, oh, here's some moral justification wrapped up in some academia. But that's not what the movement itself is about. And by the way, that's all bullcrap, all the rapping. But look at the people involved in it. Look at the people on the ground screaming and yelling that they want people to die, walking up to, like, as much as you don't like cops, you don't walk up to two people sitting in a car doing nothing and execute them or attempt to execute them. That's the mentality of this group. It's not to be taken seriously as if like this is an alternate viewpoint that we need to debate and compromise on. These people are disgusting and they need to be shut down. I'm sorry. I'm like...
And you don't, and you know, two quick things. One, because I don't want to lose this comment. It's not a super chat, but I saw this scroll by. Angie said, they love taking advantage of the mentally ill. When I was in SJW, I was in the pits mentality. Angie, I am right there with you, sister. Like, I was not my best self when I was in social justice, and I became progressively worse. And I have friends who are still in it who I'm talking like the worst mental health issues that just seemingly keep getting worse. Like they don't seem to be getting better. And I know this because they put it all out there on social media for you to see. It encourages mental health issues. First of all, Antifa, which is a social justice organization, Antifa in Austin on their website says, go to the mental hospitals, go to the mental health facilities at UT Austin and recruit people. They know that recruiting mentally ill people is a good tactic. And secondly, they convince you to stay. And this ideology tells you that your mental health problems make you one of the oppressed. And it's good to be one of the oppressed in this ideology because they view the world as a struggle for power between different identity groups, and everybody's put into these categories. You know, you're either oppressed or you're the oppressor. And if you're, let's say you're a white man, you're in two oppressor groups. Oh my gosh. Well, how can you be in an oppressed group? You can make your mental health issues your identity. Now you're in an oppressed group. Mental health justice, right? Then it becomes your identity and they keep you in it. And you don't have much incentive to leave because this is how you show that you get oppression points. This is how you get a greater voice in the ideology. So you are totally right, Angie. They recruit people with mental health problems and they encourage those problems to get worse. And they grow them. They grow them in people who don't even have them to begin with. They grow the mental health issues.
Just look at Twitter profiles.
And that's built
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason that it says people's Twitter profile says, you know, anxiety disorder, this disorder, that disorder, bipolar disorder. There's a reason they list all that crap.
Yeah.
They're badges.
It's their identity.
They're badges. They're like their trophies from the Girl Scouts or whatever. Like that's what they're wearing their patches on their sleeve. That's what hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I have 14 different mental illnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly right. The other thing I was going to say is just about BLM. Again, if you're one of these ignorant people, these clueless people. I had a woman in a group. Okay, this is a local group. And this schmuck in the group, this white guy, of course, painted his car with Black Lives Matter all on it, spray painted his own car, and then hand painted the names of Black people who have died at the hands of police. And the funny thing is that first he posted the pictures and said, has anybody seen this car around town? And people were responding. Right. And then the next day he posts and says, "Hey, guess what? The car is mine." Right? And like, oh, crescendoing applause. The car is yours. And then he got in the news for it and everything. And of course, he shared the news article. Look, I made the news. Like, I care so much about Black lives. I painted my car. And it made me think of the joke,
My
this
wife's
joke
boyfriend really
my
likes
fella and
it.
I.
Sorry, that was rude.
Yeah, my wife's boyfriend. Well, we were joking on this road trip. We were in, I forget what city we were in. It might have been somewhere in Idaho. We met some guys or a family who had two dogs, and these guys would probably, maybe, I'm just guessing, but they're maybe on the right, maybe conservatives, and their dogs were named Liberty and Justice.
Definitely on
And
the
as
right.
we walked
Yes.
away, yeah. And as we walked away, we were kind of laughing, and we were imagining a comedy sketch where people just virtue signaled their beliefs in their dog names. Like if we had said, "Oh, really? Well, this is my dog, Black Lives Matter," and
My dogs, Brianna and
and then
Taylor. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
this is yeah, Brianna and Taylor. And then we imagine somebody saying, "Oh, really? You named your dog Black Lives Matter? Well, this is my son, Black Lives Matter." and, and then, like white people,
And my
and then as
daughter,
soon as
white
we
fragility.
envisioned,
Yes.
and my daughter, white fragility, as soon as we envisioned this comedy scenario, this guy shows up to bring it to life in my local group. Like, this is my car. Let me introduce you to my car. Black Lives Matter. And so in the comments, there was this well-intentioned white woman who, in our little Texas town where they're trying to, first of all, they're trying to bring national issues to this town, and they're not making it local at all. But secondly, those national issues are skewed. The narrative this woman believes is not true. If she watches the news, she believes that Black people are being killed constantly by police, and that's just not, the studies and the data do not bear that out. But somebody like her is not going to go look at the data and see if this is true. And so she posted something about, I support Black Lives Matter because I'm a white person who cares about Black people. I said, BLM is a Marxist organization. Okay, so I don't support it. You can support Black people without supporting Black Lives Matter. In fact, I don't support Black Lives Matter because I care about Black people and Black lives. And Black Lives Matter does not. Black Lives Matter is pushing, you can go to their website. They believe in the destruction of the nuclear family. There's a lot of issues with that group, just aside from them being Marxist. And she said, well, that may be true. They may be Marxist. I don't know. But I support them because, newsflash, Black Lives Matter. It just comes back to the same.
It becomes back to that guy who was
Like,
explaining Antifa the other day. They don't understand that it's anti-fascist. They don't understand that it's Black Lives Matter. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
The problem is that we don't understand the words that are put together. Thank you for explaining. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
They may, in fact,
Sorry.
I know Hitler started calling himself Black Lives Matter, so you just might not understand. It's like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, but underneath they're Marxist. Well, that may be, but their name is Black Lives Matter. Do you understand that? That's why I support them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
if
you
only
vote.
Hitler had named. Yeah. Okay, so Hitler actually wrote about social justice. You can go
Yes.
and find quotes from him about social justice. And I learned this. I don't know about you, Carter, but I learned this back when we interviewed Samuel Say. Samuel Say is a Christian who writes about social justice from a biblical perspective, and he highlighted the fact that Hitler was for social justice, and he used the term in the same way they use it. And in fact, you can take some of his speeches, and if you change Jew to white man, it would fly today. Probably
It'd be the same thing. Yeah.
What if he had been clever enough to call his evil Black Lives Matter, or Jewish Lives Matter?
If he was unsuccessful, they'd probably be calling themselves Nazis because we wouldn't know what the name means. And National Socialist is like a fine name for them, and they would be probably using it. The only reason they're not using it is because it was tainted, because, he got popular and then we fought a war, and so now that word is tainted. Just like they don't talk about Stalin, or we don't talk about the 100 million deaths of communism. We don't talk about stuff that makes the left look bad. So, we only talk about stuff that makes the non-left, and I don't think Hitler was actually on the right. I don't like the right-left dichotomy there anyway, but whatever. Authoritarian of the wrong flavor. Okay, we'll that guy's bad. But authoritarians of the right flavor, they're all about that. They're all about those
They're all
authoritarians.
about that. Yeah.